Forgotten about in Lincoln. Lincoln Castle. Part of the 2015 restoration of the curtain walls includes a 360-degree medieval walk along the ramparts. At the far end of the castle grounds is the current magistrates' court, and the public do not have access. We can visit a Victorian prison and view the Magna Carta and the Charter of the Forest in the new vault. The Magna Carta was read aloud in the Sheriff's Court at the castle in 1215. It was the first document to put into writing the principle that the king and his government was not above the law. The document is one of only 4 copies still in existence, 2 at the British Library and 1 more in Canterbury Cathedral. The Charter of the Forest, often called the Charter of the Common Man, was the first charter to acknowledge the rights of ordinary people instead of the rights of nobility and clergy. The 1217 Charter re-established for free men rights of access to the royal forest that had been eroded by King William the Conqueror and his heirs. 2 copies of the original 1217 documents have survived, one in Lincoln Cathedral and one in Durham Cathedral. Lincoln Cathedral. On a bright day when the sun touches the stained glass windows, it paints bright colours through the cathedral. In 1072, Bishop Remigius starts work on the cathedral. It was ravaged by fire in 1124, damaged by an earthquake in 1185, and the central tower collapsed in 1237. In 1311, the central tower was replaced and remained the world's tallest building for 238 years until the central tower spire is blown down in 1548. Then in 1644, during the English Civil War, Cromwell and his army causes damage too. Fortunately, the years following this were more positive, with building projects to redesign and improve the cathedral, which is the 4th largest in the UK. Eleanor of Castile passed away close to Lincoln, and her body was carried back to London from Lincoln by her grieving husband, King Edward I. At each place her body rested during the journey, he causes crosses to be built in her memory. Her body was embalmed, and her viscera, which is the internal body parts, were buried in Lincoln in this memorial. Her body was buried in Westminster Abbey, and her heart was buried in the Dominican Abbey at Blackfriars. Lastly, I'll show you something unusual about the High Street here in Lincoln. The building in front of us is a timber-framed Tudor building built in 1550. We're going to the right where there's steps that go down. It's a bit dark down there. And here we are on the side of the Tudor building. It looks as if the roosting pigeons quite enjoy here. It's rather messy. So at the bottom of the steps there's a walkway next to the River Witham, which goes underneath this building. And surprisingly, this is a medieval bridge. It was built in the 1160s. And it's called High Bridge. The Tudor building was built onto the bridge later on.